Database administration. Database administration refers to the whole set of activities performed by a database administrator to ensure that a database is always available as needed. Other closely related tasks and roles are database security, database monitoring, and troubleshooting, and planning for future growth. Database administration is an important function in any organization that is dependent on one or more database. So again, what is important here is this part: database is always available as needed. So that's the primary role of a database administration. The database administrator, this is the person, a DBA, is usually a dedicated role in the IT department or large organization. However, many smaller companies that cannot afford a full-time DBA usually outsource or contract the role to a specialized vendor or merge the role with another in the ICT department so that both are performed by one person. I think that's the usual setup for smaller companies. But for bigger companies, it is a dedicated role in the IT department. The primary role of database administration is to ensure maximum uptime for the database so that it is always available when needed. This will typically involve proactive periodic monitoring and troubleshooting. Again, proactive because we should anticipate disaster. So we don't react to disaster. We should anticipate that. That's why it should be proactive. The database administration should be proactive. This in turn entails some technical skills on the part of the DBA. In addition to in-depth knowledge of the database in question, the DBA will also need knowledge and perhaps training in the platform. So, what database engine will be used and maybe the operating system. So, the DBA should be knowledgeable into the database engine and again the operating system. So, on which the database runs. DBA responsibilities. So, one is database security, ensuring that only authorized users have access to the database and fortifying it against any external unauthorized access. Database tuning, tweaking any of several parameters to optimize performance such as server memory allocation, file fragmentation, and disk usage. Backup and recovery. It is the DBA's role to ensure that the database has adequate backup and recovery procedures in place to recover from any accidental or deliberate loss of data. And another role or responsibility is producing reports from queries. DBAs are frequently called upon to generate reports by writing queries, which are then run against the database. A database administrator, frequently known just by the acronym DBA, is a role usually within the information technology department, charged with the creation, maintenance, backups, querying, tuning, user right assignment, and security of an organization's database. The role requires technical training and expertise in the specific RDBMS. So, if you're using Oracle, you should be trained to administer Oracle, etc. So, used by the organization in addition to other skills such as analytical thinking and ability to concentrate on tasks, as well as experience working with database in the real world. The DBA role is a critical member of the IT. It is very obvious because the data is actually in your hands as a DBA. We have here several types of DBAs. We have the administrative DBA, so maintains the servers and database and keeps them running. Concerned with backups, security, patches, application, etc. These are activities mostly geared towards maintaining the database and software platform, but not really involved in enhancing or developing it. Then we have the development DBA, works on building SQL queries or SQL queries, stored procedures, and so on that meet business needs. This is equivalent of a programmer, but specializing in database development, commonly combine the role of administrative DBA. Then we also have the data architect. So the data architect designs schemas, builds table indices, data structures, and relationships. This role works to build a structure that meets the general business needs in a particular area. For instance, a software company will use data architects to build a design for the database of a new commercial application system for running bank's operation. The design is then used by developers and development DBAs to implement the actual application. Then we also have the data warehouse DBA. This is a relatively newer role responsible for merging data from multiple sources into a data warehouse. May have to design the data warehouse as well as cleaning up and standardizing the data before loading using specialist data loading and transformation tools. Now, just to give you an idea of how much an average DBA or the average, how much is the average salary of DBAs in the Philippines. So it says here that it is around more than half million every year. So if you divide that by 12, that's around more than 40,000. Again, it depends on company. If your company is quite small, it's probably lower than that. But for bigger companies, it is of course higher than 40,000. So that's all for our introduction to DBA. Thank you.